They say if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. Well, God is laughing right now because Deb and I planned this mega shed that's 44 foot wide by 55 foot long with a 15-foot porch. So it's 44 by 40 inside here. And we designed it with this 12 by 24 room on the end. And the idea was to put a mini split in it so we'd have air conditioning. And when we're out here working on the property, we'd have a place to get out of the heat and take a break. And also inside, there was a bunch of outlets and lights and fan fixtures so that we could basically hang out in there and be comfortable. So this is inside the room, and it's a little echoey, so bear with me. But Deb and I came in here as one of our first projects after the shed was built, and we took 2x4s and ripped them down and furred out or studded the walls to get ready for OSB. So all of the walls along here were studded out. But when we got it spray foamed and decided we were going to take out that wall, we decided that we didn't need to spray foam this one, but we'll still run OSB down here. And it's kind of sad why we have to take it down, because my dad passed away, and that was a big part of Piney Grove, was a multi-generational homestead. And when he passed away a few months ago, it freed up the house so that we can actually use the house and get out of the heat, and we don't need this room anymore. So the idea of having this separate space that we're never going to use as heated and cooled kind of changed our mind on the layout of the shop. So now we got to take this metal stud out. Luckily, the guys who built this for me from Carolina Carports, they left me with some extra metal. So I actually have one that's long enough. I'll cut the right angle, and then I'll have a 1-foot wall coming out here because I don't want to mess with these switches. I'll take out the metal framing on the floor. I'll take out this wood framing. I'll take out this one and shorten it and put a little 1-foot stem or studded wall over here. And again, that's just so that we retain the integrity of the building, because this is a vertical support. We're just going to move it over. We'll take out this wood framing, and just like out front, we'll have my electrician come in and shorten these wires and put these outlets and switches over here on this little 1-foot wall. These buildings go together pretty simply and also come apart very simply. And they take a 2 1/4 square metal tubing, mate it against another 2 1/4 metal tubing, and then hold it together with these L brackets and 4 self-tapping screws. And when we put the wooden studs on here, we use the same type of construction mentality or construction method, where we used L brackets at the bottom and wood screws into the wood and metal screws into the metal. When I was taking it apart, I noticed that we broke off this drill bit, and it was actually sitting in there like a screw, and I couldn't unscrew it out. I was like, why is there a screw here with no screw head? But we broke off a drill bit. It was really hot in there. There's no air movement. And Deb comes in and goes, well, I was thinking last night, maybe we don't take this wall down. So what were your thoughts? Because I thought we had decided that it was coming down today or this weekend.
I was thinking yesterday, it's so hot that with this room that he could have just turned this into a workshop room instead of lining shelves along there, and then he could have had an air conditioner and better climate controlled it.
Once this wall is removed, we're just going to have so much more space for the side-by-side, the ATV, and the zero turn. So that's my thought process. All right, we're ready to take down the metal stud. So it should be fairly simple. Deb is not a ladder person, so anything on a ladder, or most things on a ladder, I have to do.
Well, yeah, but I do, as the pallet racks and the pole barn, and I do, I just don't like it.
We're all done on the top of that. I'll go over to the other side of the wall, pull out them screws, and that stud should come out. It should just come out.
No, it's tight in there. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Look at that.
All right, so the idea is to cut one of these, a new one that's longer, and put it here, and then we'll have a 1-foot wall. And we actually have some J metal or some J channel left over from the pole barn, so we won't have a rough metal edge here when we cut that.
So again, I have no clue. I really just thought, we're gonna pull this whole wall down, and that's gonna be that, but apparently not. Apparently there's still shifting and changing of elements of the wall. Piney Grove fashion.
The bottom metal will stay, and it's got concrete anchors at the corners, so that'll work out. Leave that anchor in, come out 1 foot, cut it, run a vertical stud.
I'm not questioning, I'm just curious because you don't want to move this, is that why? So this all stays?
Well, there's that, and also you got that whole header across the top that's got to be supported by something. There's a transition out there where there's an open bay header, so I don't want that vertical or whatever you call that truss. I don't want that truss to be unsupported. And I need some place to put the light switches. This, I guess, is called MC. That would be hard to fit in this over there. We'll go ahead and unzip this wall too. And that way when we're inside, the stud should just fall out. There you go, should come right out.
Oh, yes, it did come right out.
When you're nervous about making the cut, you procrastinate. It really isn't that big a deal, but I want to get it right. Well, it's cut. Is it cut right? I think it fits. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how I can put pressure against this because it has to kind of push this metal in order to be flush on the top and also keep it plumb. It's pretty close to perfect right there. So if I can get this top end pushed in and get those self-tapping screws in, this one will be done. Just got no way to push against it. I think I got a solution. If I take this pry bar and pry on that outer one, yep, I can get that to hold, but I don't have enough hands to start the screws. So I'm gonna have to wait till Deb gets back and she can hold this from that ladder. That'll make her happy. I can put the 2 screws in and that'll be done. Okay, Deb is back and she doesn't know what she has to do yet.
I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can tell you that this setup does not look like it's going to be good.
It's gonna be fine, Deb. It's gonna be fine.
Well, I don't see how I'm going to be any help facing this way.
Get your back into it. Get up on this ladder with me then.
That wasn't so bad because he's on the scarier ladder. Didn't feel stable, but obviously it is. I just hate ladders. So you watch them put these buildings together and you think, oh, it's like a Tinker Toy set, right? They just put it all together. Well, they know what they're doing. It just took forever to put in this post. I went and grabbed lunch and thought when I came back, I was like, oh, I gotta hurry because he's gonna get that wall down before I get out there. Nope, 1 post. Cutting the foam to make sure there's no screws tucked away up there that we need to undo before the wall comes down. So far, no. Yeah, it would have been better if we took down the wall before they spray foamed, but when they say they can do a job, you need to let them do it and just work around their schedule, get things done.
We're getting close to actually seeing something done. I got all that foam up there cut away. We've got this stud that goes right here on the inside measured. So we're gonna let Deb measure it and cut it, and that way, if it's wrong, then Deb's wrong.
Nope. I know it'll be fine, but if it's not, I want it to be all you.
You feel safe holding the tape measure?
I feel safe holding a tape measure.
And we'll do 130 inches and 3/4.
And a hair.
And a hair.
So now, because the angle's not right on this one, we get to make 2 cuts. As if 1 cut wasn't bad enough, now we get to make 2.
If I hold this at 3¼ inches and let it pivot back here, that gives me my angle. Right there. That cut actually came out pretty square.
Yeah, it did. Looks good. And now for the reveal. Will it fit? I'm going to say yes. Don't do this at home, boys and girls. Had to use a smaller bracket on this side because that bolt head is in the way. Second post back in. I'd say in, but it's back in.
Did you think that would take that long, Deb? Seriously, just to do what we've done so far?
No, it's been hours. He kept shaving off little by little pieces of this post to get the angle perfect. He used a grinder and then tested it and then ground a little bit and then tested it, and that was a back and forth process.
Looking at the job that I had to do, how much time would you have said in the beginning it would have taken to do this? You know, you try and look at every little piece of the job and say that's 15 minutes, that's 30 minutes, that's an hour, whatever. And I figured, I don't know, max 2 or 3 hours. And I think I'm well over 4 hours. I might even be on my 6th hour on this. When Deb gets back, we'll ask her, because she came out here after church. But right now, this vertical stud is in. This is all unsupported. This is just metal that needs to be removed. And over here, we have one of the vertical studs, 2 1/4 channel, square channel. We can take the Sawzall, I think it's right about here, and run this down and cut this. Cut that side, then the opening will be cut. Then we got to remove the bottom sill, or whatever the 2 1/4 piece is on the bottom of the sill, and then put the J-mold on. So I bet there's at least 2 more hours left. So I don't know what your guesses are going to be in the comments, but this is probably an 8-hour job for one man. And Deb doesn't know this, but I'm going to have her hold with this 2x4 and just follow my blade down and hold against that stud, and that'll keep this from wavering back and forth, and that should work out really well. And Deb doesn't have a mic, so you really can't hear what she has to say about that. I'm gonna go up until I cut this panel, and then I'll stop. You excited? We're about to see the opening.
Yep.
Lay it down.
Well, the wall's down, but I don't know why we were thinking that it wasn't going to fall down when it got close. Hey, look, folks, you can see in. I was thinking that the panel was from here up to here. I wasn't thinking that that was a separate panel. So we got to figure out how we're going to get this down and maybe controlling where it falls better, because we didn't control the last one. Ooh, that's a big old bolt. All else fails, go old school. Okay, broke out the big guns. This'll do it. Metal cutting blade and the skill saw, yep. The saw was being held off by those screws. We think that one's good enough. So now, metal blade on the circular saw for this side. Oh, look at that. It only took an hour and a half.
If I'm being honest, I didn't think we were going to get that. I really thought the project was at a standstill. I had run out of ideas, but then I remembered that probably a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I bought those Irwin steel cutting blades for my skill saw and also my chop saw, because I want to do something with this metal, like create a table and also create some supports to weld in place around the shed. And at the last minute, I was about to give up. I had tried everything I could think to do, and I remembered I had those blades. We got that last piece out. What we don't know how to do is catch this big piece of metal when we cut it to about here, because that's how big this piece of metal is, and the last one fell down and Deb wasn't ready for it. Luckily, she didn't get cut. So we're trying to figure out how to do this safely.
Do that, make hinges. I can have gloves on and maybe I can catch it.
You can hold it?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to cut this all the way, and then you hold it. And then I'll cut the other one, and it shouldn't drop. Well guys, there it is. It's completely open and absolutely cannot believe it took so long. I don't know if a multi-tool is made to cut metal. Maybe it didn't come with metal cutting blades, but I only had like an inch to go on that corner over there and it just took me forever. I thought this job would be done a couple hours ago, but this has really opened it up and this is what we envisioned. The last step is to put on the J-mold. That would normally be pretty easy. So we'll see how it goes finagling in that J-channel. This white J-channel will go behind the metal there and it'll sit like that to cover up that rough edge, and then you'll put in your screws here. The bottom went in pretty easy. I'll put the bolts in here in a minute.
So it looks like it'll be quick too. A few more screws that go in here and then this side will be done. That gives it a finished look, as if it was built this way on purpose. It's time for Let's Ask the Audience. If you were going to put bolts in, would you measure and square it, or would you just put the bolts in? Just curious. Because nothing's easy. Now it's a two-step process with self-tapping screws. Drill and then screw. Yep, he's washing his little marks off of the shed that only he will see.
Here, let me give you a hug. How soaked am I? Like completely soaked? So when we did pallet racks a couple of weeks ago, she said she could smell me and she didn't say anything till later. Do you smell me today?
Yes, I do.
In typical Piney Grove fashion, it took longer than we expected, but at the end of the day, we've reclaimed this space so that we can use it. I can't even think straight for our closing, guys. We appreciate you watching. We'll catch you on the next video.
Take care.
Take care.